Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Mike Maher. I'm a breath and wellness coach. And in this video, I want to talk to you today about this phenomenon known as burnout. So what it is, why it's affecting so many of us, how I've personally been on the brink of burnout many times. And then the most important part, I'm going to walk you through 7 of the principal evidence-based strategies that I use to reset my burnout. And my hope in this video, if you're watching this and you're not feeling great right now, is that this is going to give you a path and a map and some strategies of things that you can walk away with today and go and implement straight away. So we'll get stuck into the computer and let's just get straight into it. So these will be 7 principles that I will outlay to you, and each one I've personally been through. So these are ones that I've personally tested. So let's just recognize something right off the bat. We are living in the most overstimulated time in all of human history. Never before have we had so many notifications and distractions and busyness and demands on our life. You know, even on the toilet, we've got all these things going on now. And so let's just recognize that life has severely, drastically moved from our ancestors not that long ago. If we look back not that far in the past, we were living in small groups of people outside all the time, playing, having fun, digging, sprinting, climbing, you know, looking after each other. And we've gone to a very, very different world. And so, you know, we're not broken. You know, we don't need fixing. We just need to recognize that we are not living in the world that we were designed to live in. And what are the changes and iterations that we can make so that we can feel whole again, that we can feel fulfilled. So it's always worth recognizing we've moved quite far. Now, when it comes to stress and burnout and all these different things, I always like the analogy about the frogs. You might have heard, like, how do you boil a frog? You don't drop it in boiling water. Horrible analogy, by the way, but you boil it slowly and the frog doesn't realize that it's being boiled. And that's how I felt during one of the burnout cycles that I was going through. You just don't realize, it just kind of creeps up on you. Okay. And so this is how I decided to put myself in burnout, either consciously or subconsciously. I decided to have a baby, which by itself, you know, there's probably a few parents watching this, probably know that the lack of sleep and the expectations and the demands that go on you and all the worries and stresses, all these different things, are going to put you in a position where you're probably feeling exhausted and burnt out. But I didn't stop there. I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll launch a new business with my wonderful business partner, Tom Granger, called Airheads, and we'll put on all these events to help people understand the power of breathwork. And then at the same time, I thought I'll just carry on building my business, the podcast, the YouTube channel, the clients that I work with, the events that I was teaching at live. And then I thought, you know what, we'll sprinkle in launching a breath app at the same time as well. So probably just one of those things would be enough to put a load of demands on me. But all of those together, the lack of sleep and all the expectations and building all these things, it really broke me. And so I just remember taking this picture and just feeling absolutely exhausted and just not myself at all. And I was so grateful to have my son, and that bit was all beautiful. But just how I felt about work and everything else, I just couldn't bother, just didn't want to do anything. It was really, really tough. Okay, so let's just define these parameters a little bit. So I was quite curious, like the term burnout was thrown around a lot, but where did it come from? What is it? So there's a guy called Dr. Herbert Freudenberger, and he wrote the book called Burnout, How to Beat the High Cost of Success. And he says it's a state of mental and physical exhaustion caused by one's professional life. I think we can expand it further than that now. But he first coined that term in the 70s, and he actually wrote a paper on it. And where we think this burnout comes from, he actually wrote this. He said, if you've ever seen a building that has been burned out, you know it's a devastating sight. Their inner resources are consumed as if by fire, leaving a great emptiness inside. So maybe that resonates a little bit, but that's kind of where that came from. And there was a list put together by Calm, wonderful app, by the way, not sponsored by them, Calm, if you're watching. And they came up with 22 signs of burnout. I won't read them all out. You can pause the screen and look at them there. But generally speaking, I felt exhausted, apathetic, tired, loss of appetite, just this lack of just not feeling like I can even make a difference at work. There's just too many things. Like why even bother? Concentration was terrible. So a lot of stuff going on there. And some of those things you might resonate with as well. So the first thing, and this was a real game changer when one of my business coaches told me this, is like, you're not your job. And if you're having a bad day at work or in your business, that doesn't mean that you should be having a bad day in your personal life, because business is up and down, work is up and down. There's a lot of uncontrolled variables. And it's really important that you're able to separate those two parts, because you are separate. They are two completely separate areas of your life. But what happens is we have a good or a bad day at work, and that translates to home. So we just need to recognize that we're not a job. Wonderful quote here from Fight Club, by the way. Okay, so let's just get into the list. Now look at me, I'm filming this outside. You're going to see more and more of this content, me outdoors. It's been such a game changer for me. And just getting outside, we are not designed to live in these dark boxes that we've put ourselves in with artificial light. So even as my son was newborn, I was like, I got to get out. The weather was not great. It's like, we just got to be outside. I'm indoors, we've got the lights on, and we're just feeling cruddy. So get outside as much as possible. I spoke about this in previous videos. And, when we wake up, we want to be getting that natural light first thing, even if it's cloudy. And the sad thing is the windows are stopping some of that light waves getting to us. So we just need to be outside as much as we can. Obviously, we don't want to get sunburned. We don't want to be like putting ourselves in danger, but we do want to be outside. Like I'm under a tree right now. I'm filming this video. It's beautiful. There's going to be some dog noises, an airplane going overhead. There's a lot of things that make it very hard to film these videos outside. I've got neighbours that like to use power tools all the time at the moment. But I recognise that this is so important for my health. I'll find a way to make it happen. Okay, so ask yourself this: what is the amount of time that you're spending outside? I've spoke about this before. Whatever it is, try and double it, try and triple it. If you're spending 30 minutes outside, let's try to get to 3 hours. There are many ways you can do this, and it's so powerful because it's going to affect your sleep. It's going to mean you sleep better, your sleep is deeper, it's more nourishing. So we've got to be outside as much as we can. Okay, that might just be alone, by the way, the first thing that just changes everything for you. Just getting outside more, being around trees, getting your feet on the grass. We'll talk about that in a second. The second one is moving your body. Now, again, I know there's a whole exercise culture. I'm not going to get into that today. But this was a big one. This was me at an event. And what I do, I learned this from Qigong and also from Tom Granger and a few other different people, is we've got to move our bodies, especially, we'll talk about breath work in a little bit. But look, we're having a really good boogie, a little good dance. There's loads of ways you can do this, but I just like to move my body. So this isn't about hitting the gym and doing like 10,000 reps of something. This is literally just about shaking, tapping, slapping, having some good fun. You can do it anywhere. I used to do this actually in the disabled toilets at my old job. I didn't know why I was doing it, but I'd put some music on. I came back from Tony Robbins and I used to have a really good boogie, a really good move, and then all the stress would kind of dissipate. So this was a good reset tool, one I take a lot of clients through, as you can see there. Okay, now this one's going to sound a little bit weird, but I want you to think about how you can become bored, how we can remove distractions. I think we've become scared of being bored. We've got to have something always stimulating us. An example I'll give you is like when I'm folding clothes or cleaning the house, like, I need to find the right podcast to listen to. Why do we? Why do you need to be so productive? I love this little meme that I found, like when your phone's dead and you've got to take one of those 90s dumps. It's like, we take a phone on the toilet, we've got to find all these things, we've got to respond to text messages. So there's a guy that one of my mentors called Charlie Morgan, fantastic business guy. He's been burnt out, I believe, several times. He said, just do one thing. Just do one thing. That's how people are successful. Just do one thing at a time. Even if it's going to the toilet, just do one thing. Go to the toilet. If you're going to go for a walk, just go for a walk. Don't need to accompany it with, some sort of podcast or music. Just go for a walk. If we're going to do one thing for work, just do the one thing. That's been such a game changer. It takes loads of stress off you and pressure. And then that one thing's done properly. It's done really, really nicely. So try and take a 90s dump would be my recommendation. Okay, this one always sounds a little bit woo-woo. It's backed up by a ton of science. Right now, I don't know if I can even get my foot up here. I am touching the grass. I'm earthed as I'm doing this podcast. I'm obviously in natural light as well. Earthing, grounding is the science of just touching the planet. And this wonderful guy here, Clint Ober, who was in a documentary called Earthing, changed my life. The power of us knowing that we are an animal that's designed to be on this planet. First of all, we're designed to be outside, but we're also designed to be touching the planet as much as possible. And a few decades ago, we disconnected. We put rubber on our shoes, great insulator. We live in houses with plastic carpets, so we're creating all the static. We're touching our phones when they're charging. We're full of all this additional energy that we don't actually want or need, and we just need to be touching the ground more. So why is it when we're on the beach we love being barefoot on the sand or in the water? It's because we're earthed. It's because we're grounded. I love my feet being in the grass as well. So we've got to make sure that we're outside as much as possible. We've got to make sure that we're earthing as much as possible. My bed is earthed. I've got a grounding rod coming out of the ground, and look, we can get I would recommend watching the movie, because there's a 2.5 hour movie that breaks down all the science of how it's reducing inflammation, helping with the pain receptors, helping with sleep, helping with the energy in your cells. There's so much to it. But this short version for this video is just be touching the earth. You can even get little clips that come out of your shoe and come around the bottom and touch the ground, and so you're earthed even when you've got shoes on as well. So be earthed. I could talk about that all day. Okay. This next one is going to seem a little bit too simple. So I just want to leave that with you for a second. It's about play. Okay. One of my mentors, Paul Hughes, from Vivation, Breathwork, he said to me, you know, one of the most important things is levity. So we take ourselves way too seriously. And I think about that a lot. It's like we're so serious. We become adults. So serious. I worked in the corporate space for decades. Everyone's very serious there. Suits and ties. And, yeah. And the truth is, you're going to die soon, you know. And soon might mean 40 years. It might mean 60 years. But we don't have very long on this planet. You know, I'm at 42 and a bit now. And I've been thinking recently, like, I remember when a year became a short measure of time. I remember when a year was a long measure of time. I remember it became a short measure of time. I was like, wow, that was a year ago. That feels like it was a few months ago. But what's recently happened for me at 42 is now 2 years have become a short measure of time. I was like, wow, that was 2 years ago. I feel like that was last week. So time's getting quicker as we get older. And so I think it was Steve Jobs that said something along the lines of, you can't connect the dots looking forwards, you know, you connect them looking backwards. And in the face of death, you know, you're completely naked. And for him, you know, he's sadly passed away now, but there's a lot of wisdom from some of the speeches he's done. And what I try and take from this is, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Like, on the grand scheme of things, on a ball of rock flying through space, can we not just lighten up a little bit and have some fun and play like a child? Okay, so hopefully I've hammered that home. Just relax, have some fun. It's going to be okay. Now, gratitude. Wow, this is a biggie. This is a real biggie. Okay. So there's a company called HeartMath, and they connect little devices to your ears, and you do certain breath work like coherence breathing, and it can detect what's going on with like your arrhythmias and your heart and all this sort of stuff. And then they'll look at, like, if you start to think of something that gives you gratitude or joy, and you can actually see the waves start to smoothen and change. And it gets a little more complicated when you're adding coherence breathing. But in short, how we think and the emotions we use play a huge role in how we feel, obviously. And let me bring this to life for you. This is my friend, Tom Zitas. He was the first human to set a Guinness World Record for a single breath hold over 10 minutes. He's such a lovely guy. And he told me that he tested lots of different emotions under the water on different days to see what would give him the longest breath hold. And he said the one that gave him the greatest breath hold was joy. So he tried to white knuckle it with frustrations and angers, but joy helped him be so calm. And so the emotions have so much power. And so it's so corny, and it's been so brutally abused, this idea of like gratitude journals and just be grateful, man. It's like so much shit that's mixed up with it. But the idea of just spending a moment, eyes closed, and just find something that brings you joy. Maybe you can put your hand on your heart, and you just step into that moment. Or maybe it's my son's face I'm just looking at as he was born. Suddenly I start to feel different. Then I put a smile on my face. And my breath starts to change. And I start to feel nicer. Maybe even a little bit emotional. And so, sorry, I got me a bit emotional then. So we want to make sure that we're taking some time for gratitude, you know, and don't make it corny, make it real. Find something. It can be a movie, it could be like a lovely cup of coffee, it might be a sunrise, but take some time each day to find some gratitude, because of science, that is really helpful. Okay. Now, of course, the very last one is breathe correctly. I've been doing breath work. I'm a breath coach. I've been doing it for 10 years. Okay, so I'll save obviously the best till last. But how you breathe affects every other facet of your life. And I heard this wonderful quote the other day, you know, we're not trying to become better breathers to become better breathers. When we breathe better, we think better, we move better, we feel better. So how we breathe is the foundation for your health. And I'll just bring that to life with a couple of quotes. So James Nestor, who wrote the book Breath, he said, no matter what you eat, how much you exercise, how resilient your genes are, how skinny or young or wise you are, none of it matters unless you're breathing correctly. This guy that's done decades worth of research into the latest science on all of this. How we breathe is so important. I'm not talking breath work here specifically. I'm talking about how we breathe the 23 and a half hours a day. We're not doing any breathing exercises. The other big takeaway comes from Dr. Gerberg, who's wrote many books on breathing, and she says your brain's always listening. So if we've got a pattern of breathing because we're tight and not breathing properly, that would resemble a dysfunctional pattern that might be similar to when there was stress or anxiety in the wild. Then the brain's picking up on that and the nervous system's picking up on that. So we want the body to be relaxed, the breath to be relaxed, okay? And I'm not going to go through all of this today. There are other videos where I break this down, but this is the 5-step breath reset burnout framework that I've put together. And it's about releasing the body so that you can actually take proper breaths with the rib cage and the diaphragm. It's about looking at how we sleep better and how we bring more energy to all of our cells, how we soothe the nervous system through things like coherence breathing, how we bring awareness and we use the breath so we can actually feel our body, because there's so much information coming up here, and how we tolerate the breath through breath holds and slow breathing. And this is what I found after 150 podcasts that make the biggest difference. And so if you want to take one thing away today, it's just focus on doing some stretching, do some ways of like stretching your rib cage out, give your body the ability to breathe properly. And that's it. They are the 7 things that I actually did that you could take away today, and you could look at getting outside more, or moving your body and shaking and jiggling, or having a poop with no phone, or earthing and grounding more, or being more playful because we're going to die soon, or have some gratitude, or breathe correctly. Let me know if you've tried any of those, if any of those have worked for you, which ones you're going to go away and try. And if you'd like my help, I'm a coach, and I walk people through this every day because often they're missing accountability and focus, and they just don't know where to start because this is part of a much bigger spectrum. There's a link down below that will take you to a page that will share a bit more about the program we offer. I don't mind if you click it or not, but if you do click it, you can book a call in with us. We'd love to have a chat with you. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. See you soon.